Well, hello there lads and ladies, and welcome to a new playthrough, and that is Sweetest Monster. Now, I looked at this and I thought to myself, yes, this is a bit of me. Some thriller-esque, mysterious style-like game that would really gel well with the channel, basically. And I'm also pretty much doing it for the Neko girl, like... You know, you got my weaknesses, you know, kitsunes, nekos and all that, we're all down for that. But yeah, this looks interesting. It's got like this very mysterious air about it. And even at the beginning there, it showed a warning, which means there's going to be some drama in this, and I can't wait. So, with that, lads and ladies, let's get into it. I remember when Great Aunt Clarence was still alive. She had a black cat called Belle. Now this isn't strictly true. Great Aunt Clarice did have one cat over her long life. She had several. Maybe it's because she never had any children. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. And diagnosing somebody after their death, that's interesting. Great Aunt Clarice always loved cats. Even after her death, Great Uncle Albert, however, she began to dote on them more and more. She would sit them on her lap and talk to them, and she looked at them so intensely you would have thought she was waiting for a reply. I was kind of sad, now that I think about it. I didn't find it sad when I was little, though. I thought it was scary. I never liked going to see Great Aunt Clarice. She would sit in her armchair, bent double, back hunched, like the eponymous bell ringer from Victor Hugo's famous novel, stroking her cat with her withered, ropey hands. I guess she was your archetypical crazy cat lady at her lowest point. She had 6 of the things, shedding hair around the house and dragging dead birds across the welcome mat in the kitchen. I don't remember much about her cats. I mean, they're just cats. You've seen one cat, you've seen them all, right? But Belle was different. I remember Belle. Belle was a black cat, proud and stately, her eyes greener than anything I'd ever seen before. She disliked people in general, and would hiss and spit whenever unwanted fingers strayed too near her glossy coat. She hissed at me, at mother, at father. She definitely hissed at Great Aunt Clarice. When she was truly enraged, Belle would even try to scratch us. I can still remember how it felt when Belle's claws raked across the backs of my hands. I can still remember the ugly red welts she caused. She drew blood on more than one occasion. She sounds lovely. Mother and father were upset, but Great Aunt Clarice simply tutted and said, "Well, what can you do?" My parents, as may be expected, were not happy about this laissez-faire response. As a result, they stopped visiting her for several weeks. Just because the cat? Why not just avoid the cat? They couldn't hold out for long, though. My mother probably felt guilty for storming out of her house like that, even though the welfare of her only son was at stake. But not really. I mean, I'm still alive and kicking, which is more than can be said for Great Aunt Clarice. Belle's violent assaults didn't leave any lasting scars. Not physically. Mentally, I'm doing fine, though I did become a primary school teacher, so you might think otherwise. But those scratches were hardly the worst things Belle did to me. I remember, I was playing with a model aeroplane. It wasn't anything special. Certainly not electronic. All I could do was throw it like a glorified frisbee, but I enjoyed it all the same. I was running through Great Aunt Clarice's overgrown jungle of a black garden, all uncut grass that reached past the ankles, and old dead apple trees that hadn't given any apples for years and years when I noticed it. Great Aunt Clarice's garden is rather was big, I should say, because the garden doesn't belong to her anymore. It had apple trees, like I said, but it also had vegetable gardens, a disused pen where Great Uncle Albert used to keep the chickens, and a lake. A rather large lake lined with willow trees, like something from a picture book. Like the lake in the beginning of Alice in Wonderland. Maybe I was channeling Alice myself that day, though I didn't tumble into Wonderland searching for white rabbits. Instead, I quite foolishly, looking back on it, fell headfirst into the lake whilst trying to save the life of a black cat. I heard a yell, a loud splash, and I turned, my plane forgotten. It landed on the ground and bounced a couple of times, but I hardly noticed. I was too busy staring out at the lake, staring at Belle. The old saying states, cats have 9 lives, but I wasn't naive enough to believe that even at the age of 6 I had already been to Great Uncle Albert's funeral, so I knew that when people died, they stayed in the ground and didn't get back up again. Belle did not have 9 lives, she only had 1 life, and it was precious. Belle had scratched me only a few months prior, and I didn't particularly like her, but I didn't want her to drown. That was why I decided to rescue her. I meant well, but as soon as it transpired, this was an incredibly stupid idea for several reasons. For one, I could not swim. For another, Belle could. I can't really remember what happened after that. This is where my memory goes foggy. All I have to rely on is hearsay from my parents and reports from the doctors. They told me I almost drowned. I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel, or anything, or if I did I don't remember it, but there is something I do remember from the ordeal. Splashing helplessly in the icy cold lake in Aunt Clarence's garden. I remember watching, slowly drowning, as Belle pulled herself out of the lake right before my eyes, rendering my rescue attempt null and void. Now I'm just guessing, but I imagine the last thought I had right before I swallowed a mouthful of fetid water and lost consciousness was, "You really are an idiot." More than 30 years later, I don't think I've changed all that much. Just ask my wife, Sally. May 11th, Tuesday. Sally doesn't like Arabella Waite, and I can't say I blame her. I don't like Arabella Waite all that much either. That being the case, it's strange Sally seems to be labouring under the entirely misguided apprehension that I might be having an affair with her. Why are you always so kind to that awful woman, Robin? I can't stand her. The two of us are sitting together in the living room, the curtains drawn, the TV buzzing in the background, like a particularly lackadaisical swarm of bees. I'm not sure what we're supposed to be watching because I haven't been paying any attention. I think it's some kind of crime drama that would explain the stiff, lifeless corpse of a teenage girl sprawled across the TV screen, her hair wringing wet. Crime dramas have a strange fixation with dead girls, particularly drowned dead girls. Maybe they think it's edgy, maybe they think it's sexy. The pre-Raphaelites sure seem to think so given their unhealthy obsession with poor Ophelia. I can't really comment on the sexiness or otherwise of this dead girl. She reminds me too much of Melly. I know you can't stand Sal, but her money is worth just as much as anybody else's. Every little counts and all that. Don't regurgitate advertising jingles at me, Robin. Even if they're catchy? Even so. I don't think Sally's watching the TV either. She's glaring at the wall, squeezing the cushion so tightly it would scream if it could. Sorry, if you can hear my dog, He's just munching on the bone. I can only apologise for that. Why does she have to come and pick up Annette so early? She knows her piano lessons don't finish until 6:30. Maybe she's lonely. So she decides to invade our home and invite herself in for coffee. Well, I guess I was the one who invited her in for coffee, but I don't really have a choice. You could have told her to leave. I couldn't, Sal. Not when she'd come all this way. I'd have felt bad. So you feel bad about inconveniencing Arabella's sodding weight, but you don't have any sympathy for me. I had to listen to her banging on about her divorce for half an hour. I felt like I was going to go mad. Ouch. I'm sorry about that, Sally Pally. Sally Pally? Okay. I tried to give Sally a sympathetic look, but I'm not sure how much of an effect it's having. Not pretty much when you call her Pally, mate. Sally isn't even looking at me. She's too busy seething. If you really were sorry, you wouldn't have dumped her on me like that. I'm a translator, not a professional entertainer. I know. I'm sorry about that, Sal. I really am. I didn't know what to do. I could hardly cut Annette's piano lesson short because of her mother turned up so early. Sorry about that. I bet she did it on purpose. It's because you're always nice to her, Robin. You're too soft. Jesus Christ, love, you keep shitting on your husband like that, I think you might end up finding someone a little bit more with a softer touch. I don't like the way Sally says nice. It sounds accusatory, like she's trying to frame me for a crime I haven't committed. Yeah, tell me about it, mate. It is true that Arabella Waite is fairly attractive as far as single mothers go, but she is also unarguably Arabella Waite. Arabella Waite's daughter Annette is a student at the school I work at. She's been having piano lessons with me for 2 years. My relationships with the charming Madame Waite, however, is strictly one of business. I hardly ever talk to her. Well, Arabella Waite tries to talk to me. I go along with it because it's more polite than ignoring her. As Sally would prefer, I don't try to encourage conversation. Why would I? If I'm being brutally honest, I think Arabella Waite is something of a snob, and she's boring with it. I don't know why she gave her daughter such a fancy French name. Arabella Waite doesn't have a single French bone in her body. Though Arabella Waite is getting divorced, she's been in the process of getting divorced for more than 7 months now. I feel sorrier for Annette than for her. I think Annette is I think Annette's the kind of 9-year-old girl who has been forced to grow up far, far too quickly. She's less of a daughter to her mother than a constant living counsellor. No wonder, she's always so quiet during her piano lessons. Oh, bless her, it's always the children that suffer. I have to be nice to her, Sal. She's a paying customer, and she's going through a tough time. I know, and she's been going through a tough time. I know all about that, Robin, because she told me in detail. She told me more than I would like to know. Well, Sally sniffs. If the way she looks at you is anything to go by, I have no doubt as to why her last husband packed his bags. Oh. You're being a tad judgmental, don't you think, Sal? I'm not being judgmental. I'm just saying like it is. She's always been far too friendly with you. Perhaps, but it's not like I return her feelings, whatever they may be. I just want to help Annette pass her grades for her piano exam. And that's why you went out for coffee with Arabella last week, is it? Because you wanted to help Annette? I sigh heavily, sorry. So we're back to this again, are we? I thought we exhausted this topic last night. We certainly went over it enough times. I hate the woman at that ridiculous Keep Fit club Sally goes to. I swear they don't even try to lose weight from what I've gathered. They meet up every Monday solely so they can gossip. Mrs. Harris is the worst. I knew I was in hot water the moment I saw her enter Costa last Saturday, trying to console a crying Arabella Waite over a cappuccino. I already told you, Sal, I didn't want to go for a coffee with her. We just bumped into each other and she suggested it. That's all. But you didn't need to agree with her. No, I didn't, but I think she needs somebody to talk to. The divorce might be pretty hard. She started crying, Sal. And I guess she needed a strong, handsome, already married, let me add, knight to sweep her off her feet. Come off it. What was I supposed to do? My heart isn't made of steel. But what about me, Robin? How do you think that made me feel? I wasn't thinking about you at the time, to be quite honest. I was more concerned about Arabella Waite smearing her mascara, which definitely was not waterproof, no matter what she said, down the front of my shirt. So you're telling me you gave her a hug too? Oh, shit, I didn't mean to let that one slip. I'm such a smooth talker. Well, I think she might have hugged me first, and it wasn't a hug, not really. She was just trying to hide her face. Like I said, she was crying so much her makeup started to run. Being hugged by her was like being embraced by a depressed clown. It was an interesting experience, but not one I'm keen to relive anytime soon. Jesus Christ, I can't believe it. First you invite her out for coffee, and now you're telling me you've been letting her cry into your chest out in public? Why does she need to emphasize the out in public part? Isn't that better than embracing her in private? Well, not really. I don't understand women. Yeah, don't we all, mate? Look, Sal, I know it sounds kind of bad, but it really wasn't like that. I'm not interested in her. Really? I'm not, even if she does wear all that low-cut shirts. That isn't the part that upsets me the most though, Robin. That's not the real issue here. Damn, Sally sounds mad. Enough as it is. This isn't... what? This isn't the real issue. I dread, I think, what might be. I'm disappointed in you. You said you were going to go out with me and Melly last Saturday. You promised. Oh. Of course. Melly. I knew I was forgetting something. It's a good thing that something is only my daughter. Look, I know what I said, and I really did mean it. I just got distracted, that's all. Too busy trying to console poor Arabella, are we? That isn't it, Sally. I didn't know what to do. It wasn't only last week either. You've been promising Melly you'll have a day out with her for almost a month, and you still haven't. Just what is so pressing that you can't put one measly day aside for your daughter? I know it's shoddy behaviour. I really am sorry. I've just been busy. Busy? How can you be? You're a music teacher in a primary school. It's hardly rocket science. It's not science at all. It's not even a proper subject. Oh, now Sally's done it. I love her and all. I kind of have to, since she's my wife. But I'm tired of hearing this shit about my job, day in and day out. Even Arabella Bleeding Waite got on a case about it last Saturday in Costa, in between all of her tears. Okay, I can understand the frustrations at work and not being able to see your daughter and all that, mate, but she's got a point. I feel like you do need to have some time with your own daughter and your wife. I mean, being a primary teacher, it's like a 9 to 5, I can understand that. Maybe you get tired when you get off at work and all that, but you gotta make time for your daughter, man. You gotta make time for your children, especially your wife in those situations, you know. Sometimes relationships can fall apart because of it, but then again, it depends on the situation. But it's not helpful for her to carry on, like, egging at him, you know, because it's just going to push him away even further. Oh, I envy you, Robin, working at a primary school and doing music too. It must be so relaxing, making a living out of something you're passionate about. Toiling away in an office all these years has really started to grind me down. I guess you wouldn't know anything about that, would you? Yeah, right. Because trying to stop a class of 5-year-olds hitting each other over their heads with their recorders is so much fun. I'm living the dream here, folks. For your information, Sally, music is a proper subject, and my job is a proper job. It's more proper than yours. At least I actually leave the house. Okay, that's a bit of a low blow, mate. I will say, if you're a stay-at-home mum, I'm not going to say it's the hardest job in the world, but at the end of the day, you are still taking care of the house, you're taking care of the children, you are putting in work. As long as you're cleaning it, you know, cooking for your children and your husband and yourself and all that, then you know that's good hard work, basically. I'm not going to shit on my partner for, you know, choosing to be a stay-at-home mum. And I really don't like that about modern day people, is when they try to shit on, like, traditional wives and traditional mothers, basically, because at the end of the day, some men just want to provide for their ladies, and what's wrong with the ladies receiving that love, basically? And it's only fair they show that love and kindness by, you know, taking care of the house and the children, just being the proper mother, basically. Sally stares at me, her face a pale of death mask. What was that, Robin? What did you just say? I know I've gone too far, but I can't back down now. It's already too late. In for a penny, in for a pound. Well, in your case, more of a pounding. I said my job is more of a proper job than yours. Unlike you, I can't sit on my backside all day with a TV on in the background. How dare you say that to me? Just because I work from home, that doesn't mean my job is any less real than yours. Besides, music is nothing more than a hobby. It's not important, not in the grand scheme of things. I don't know about that. Music is necessary, no matter what you say. Being able to play an instrument is an important life skill. And that's why you stopped trying to teach Melly, is it? Because it's such an important life skill. I've stopped for Melly's sake. She hated it. I just don't think the piano is for her. I have other students to teach, so you'll teach them, but not Melly, not our daughter. I wonder why. I'm sure money has nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. Sally. Don't you Sally me. You're in the wrong and you know it. That's why you've gone quiet. It's because you know you've done something you should feel guilty about. Sally looks at me with an undisguised disgust. She might as well be examining a cockroach. I feel just as welcome. I'm going to sleep. Don't even think about coming into my bedroom tonight. I don't want to see your face. My bedroom, not our bedroom. That's when you know the marriage is kind of up in the air at that point. My bedroom. What's with that possessive? I did pay for half the house. Nice selective memory there, Sal. With that, Sally storms up the stairs, her messy bun bouncing. I watch as she ascends, slamming one foot after the other with more force than necessary. I can see her face, but her posture makes her feelings more than evident. Don't follow me. If you do, you're dead. I sigh, rubbing the back of my neck with one hand. Don't worry about that, Sal. I wasn't planning on it. I might have almost drowned when I was a kid, but I'm not suicidal. There's a river, a short walk away from my house. Oh, sorry, not my house, mine and Sally's. It would have been a little hypocritical of me to call Sally out for laying single-handedly claim to our bedroom, and then do the same thing about our home, wouldn't it? Let me try that again. There is a river a short walk away from our house, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. The river isn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination, hardly something to wax poets over. Even the greatest of romantics would struggle to say something nice about it. The river is dark brown, choked with mud and dirt, and people use it as a kind of communal dustbin, ignoring the real bins that exist for their very purpose. It's usually filled with broken beer bottles, carrier bags from the nearby supermarket, and fast food containers. It's not a pleasant sight. Once I saw a sofa soaking in there, unmoved by the torrents of muddy water that rushed at it. I'd have pulled that out, cleaned it up, took it home, made sure that it was, like, sanitized. That's a fucking sofa. I'm not getting rid of that. It isn't rare to see shopping trolleys basking in the murky depths, shallows more like, their motionless wheels aloft in the air. I don't envy the guys who have to dredge all that shit back out of that river. It must be a rotten job, far worse than mine. Most people, my wife included, look vaguely amused when I tell them I teach music in a primary school. So you play around with tambourines and castanets all day. But at least being a teacher is a respectable job. Semi-respectable is proper. Not like lake dredgers or whatever the official name is. Do they even have official names? At any rate though, this river is hardly a picturesque point of local interest. More like an eyesore. Everybody says it's... what? I still like it. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the sound of rushing water. It's strange that I like this river so much, since I almost drowned in my youth, but that's never really bothered me whatsoever. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. See, that's what I've always talked about swimming. You need to learn how to swim. You are on a planet of mostly water. You've got to learn how to swim. If not for you, then fuck me for your family in case something happens to them, you know? So as I always do when I'm feeling unsettled, which has been more and more frequently as of late, I find myself standing at the bridge overlooking the surface of the river. It's a dark night, and the water doesn't look brown, as it usually does. It's black like ink, the skeleton of a shopping trolley sticking out of its muddy banks. There would be a shopping trolley, there always is. I suppose it's comforting in a way. Some things never change. Not like my relationship with Shadley, that's changed a hell of a lot. It happened so gradually too. I didn't even realize how much it had deteriorated until... Until what? I don't want to say until it was too late, because that sounds horribly mundane, but... I sigh, resting my hands against the wrought iron railings. The iron is cold, chilled by the biting wind at my fingers spasm. If I stay here for too long, I'm going to catch a cold. I know that, but I can't bring myself to move. I continue to stand there, frozen, staring into the river. The water's parts when it hits the shopping trolley, swirling about in circles. Ah. Did I just feel a spot of moisture on my head? The rain starts to fall from the sky in a fine mist, light and ephemeral. Well, not that ephemeral. I'm still getting wet. I should go. I've dallied here long enough, lost in self-indulgent thoughts. Sally might get worried. Then again, maybe not. I wonder. If I slipped and fell over the guardrail, would Sally mind? Would Millie? Maybe Arabella Wyatt would, but I don't care what she thinks. Sally's right. I haven't been spending enough time with Millie. I only ever see her at dinner, when we sit together at the table, lost inside our own respective silences, Happy families. She doesn't talk to me, doesn't even look at me. I'm not sure why I called her Melody. It's a big name to live up to, with a lot of unspoken hopes and dreams mixed in. That was my first mistake. I turn, ready to make my weary way back home when... Guess who? Huh? My vision is suddenly obscured by a darkness even darker than that of the night sky. Breath glides across my ear, and laughter. Obviously, female dancers. There's something pressed against my back, hands held over my eyes. They're doing that childish game you see kids participate in the playground. I never thought I'd be on the receiving end of such a gesture. Who is it? How many young girls do I even know? Maybe it's one of my students? Miss Cartwright, Enid, perhaps? But Enid would never do something like this. She's far too shy. Not as shy as Melly, but shy enough. What about my other students then? Laura? Jessica? Cornelia? No. And no again. Laura's quite a chatterbox, but she'd never be this informal with me. Jessica spends most of her piano lessons staring up at the ceiling. Cornelia's family is from Poland, and though she's fluent in English, she has quite a strong accent. Well, not that we can tell, it's all basically letters. Would have been nice to be able to hear an actual accent to it, though. Having a funny half an hour out there, boy? Bless your heart. It isn't those girls. Why would it be? I'm not that close to any of my students. What else could it be, then? Who else could it be, sorry? I think you've got the wrong person. Can you let go of me, please? I expect a sudden intake of breath, a frantic step backwards, a wide-eyed apology. But it never comes. The girl only giggles. Her hands remain stubbornly in place, unmoved. Oh, no. I definitely don't. I know it's you. I know it I know it was you even if my eyes were pecked out by crows. That's disturbing. Crows? If we really do know each other, could you at least let me see your face so I can confirm it? But that's no fun. I wanted you to guess. I've always been bad at guessing games. Suit yourself. But that's so boring. The girl steps back, drawing her hands away from my eyes. I turn, the wind and rain stinging my cheeks, and frown. I don't know what I'm expecting. For some reason, my heart is beating just a little louder than usual. Adrenaline? It isn't every day you encounter a mysterious young girl on a bridge in the dark. The situation sounds like something from a novel. What kind of novel? I haven't decided yet. I'll make my mind up when I see her face. If she has long black hair and pale skin, it's probably a horror story. If she has blonde hair and blue eyes, maybe a romance? But as it turns out, the mysterious girl is a mixture of both. She's short, far shorter than me. Well, I knew that already since I could feel her breath against the base of my neck when she held her hands against my eyes. While I don't know who she is, at least I don't think I do. You have a creepy smile. She has a very unnaturally wide grin. It's quite unsettling.